If you're really interested in the other side of cybersecurity, which is the bad guys, the hackers, because cybersecurity really is a combative industry. It is the good guys versus the bad guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cyber Revolution podcast. Thanks for joining us yet again. I'm Adam Hewitt, the CEO of Cyber Revolution, and today I'm joined by a current student of ours, Floyd Te. Floyd, how are you going?
I'm good, Adam. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast here. Been great. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to share your story. Floyd is one of our current students. He is an absolute superstar. He's been flying through his studies, smashing his exams. So I thought it'd be good to get him onto the podcast, pick his brain on how he does that, but also, more importantly, learn about his journey to get into cybersecurity. That's a big reason as to why I really enjoy doing these episodes, is to not only showcase our students, but also to understand what someone's motivation was to get into this industry, because everyone's is a little bit different. Okay, so we'll get into that soon. Before we do, as I always do, I want to give the new listeners of our podcast a bit of an overview of who this podcast is for. I think it's important in the essence of not wasting anyone's time. It is quite specific. We are Cyber Revolution, Australia's only dedicated cybersecurity training and placement institute. We specialize in finding people their first job in cybersecurity, and now we get a bunch of inquiries. We get a lot of interest about this industry, asking us all types of questions. What is it? How do I get into it? What are the skills required? What is cybersecurity in general? All right. So we want to try and answer the masses through this podcast, educate people on what this industry is and how you can land your first job in it. Okay, so if that resonates, if it sounds interesting, the next 15 to 20 minutes are going to be gold for you, okay? It's the podcast for you. All right, Floyd, let's get into it. I want to start from the beginning, where I always do. Talk to us about your journey into this industry, I guess what you were doing for work, what you currently are doing for work, and what made you to start thinking about cybersecurity.
Yeah, so ever since I've always had this passion for technology. So anything related digitally or anything tech related, I'm always fascinated by it. I can remember when I was a kid, I'm always fascinated about computers, how things work, how computers work. It always started from there. And as of my current role right now, I'm currently doing sales and consulting. So it is a good role. I enjoy talking with people, engage with people, communication-wise, but my passion has always been technology. So what led me to this one was, how can I get into this space where I am now compared to, let's say, you come from a uni or let's say a fresh graduate? How do I get there?
Yeah,
so that's why I probably bumped into you guys.
Brilliant. Here. Brilliant. All right. So you're always interested in IT, always interested in tech. Was there anything specific about cybersecurity? Was there a moment where you're like, all right, this has really piqued my interest. I'm going to actually dive deep into this?
Yeah, certainly. Like right now, the internet is everywhere. It's relevant now. It's like omnipresent. It's everywhere around us. But that also means, more vulnerabilities, more exposures to hacking, that sort of thing. I was even hacked myself on my PayPal account last year. Some guy from New York managed to hack my account. I don't know how that happened. Mm-hmm. So, which made me pop my head, my passion for technology and trying to find how things work. How do hackers get into our systems or to our accounts or to our personal details? How does that work? Which led me, I want to take a crack at it because I've always been fascinated with computer technology anyways. And so, which led me here. So it even makes more sense now, considering the fact that we can't live without internet. Let's be real, without internet, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? We got watches with the internet. We got Fitbits, fitness gadgets with the internet. They use the internet. Cars using internet.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
But I think a lot of people look at these things and they're great. Like, technology is amazing, but it does make us a lot more vulnerable, right? And so it's interesting for you, right? You've obviously aware of the industry, but for you, it sounds personal, right? You're attacking yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes.
Okay, that's a good motivation, right? As you said, like, get into the industry now. And if you're really interested in the other side of cybersecurity, which is the bad guys, the hackers, because cybersecurity really is a combative industry. It is the good guys versus the bad guys, right? So if you've got that mindset, then you'll do really, really well. All right, so interested in cyber, got hacked yourself, decided to get on the front foot and go, I'm going to get into this industry, not only protect myself, but protect others. How did you then come across Cyber Revolution, and why did you decide to join us over all of the other training providers?
Yeah, so before I bumped into you guys, well, wish I saw you guys in the Facebook ad, believe it or not. But I've been searching, like, concerning where I am right now in my career. I'm not a fresh grad from uni. I've been working ever since, for like over 15, 16 years now. So like for me, who does have not much commercial experience compared to the rest of the competition, who graduated from IT, sure, I'm mostly like self-taught, right? I can assemble my computer, no problems. But in terms of hard skills, like knowledge, like how do I get myself in this industry? How do I get myself there? So I've been researching about different course providers, that sort of thing. But when I bumped into your website through Facebook ad, I managed to find that, you offer one-on-one services, you offer employment placements, which I couldn't really find that much in detail compared to other course providers. So I took a crack at it. I went to your Facebook ad, I posted an inquiry and got that phone call.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it, really. That's how I bumped into you guys.
Great. I'm so glad you did your research. That's the most important thing. And the reason you couldn't find anyone like us is because there is no other organization like us. As I said at the start, I think what makes us special is that we just focus on one industry, on cybersecurity.
For sure.
I've been in the education industry for close to 12 years now. And in order to provide an end-to-end solution from training through to placement, you need to specialize in one industry. Otherwise, you're going to have thousands of students across a broad range of industries, and it just makes it too difficult to specialize. So that's really important. I'm glad that you did your research and you've ended up in the right spot. You're an amazing student. I spoke to Angel, your student support officer, Angelica, and she said nothing but amazing things about you and the way that you structure your studies. You've been doing really well so far. What are the key strategies that you've implemented to ensure your success?
Okay, so set a goal. Goal setting is really, really important. Like my goal is to target this minimum one module per day. Now, on my days off, I try to do 2 to 3 modules per day. Now, and as well as like using motivation, like what is the end game? What's the outcome I want to achieve? So if I already know what the outcome I want to achieve, I can figure out how to get there. And how to get there is to do my studies every single night. Like I don't take breaks on the weekends. Sometimes I do. Considering I do have social and family commitments and my job as well, full-time job. So I always try to find time, like, discipline myself more or less. Yeah. And that goal setting and the outcome you want to achieve is really, really important.
You got to touch an outcome to it, right? That's the motivation. So I think that's really good. Breaking it down into small achievable goals and then always having an outcome attached to that goal to make sure that you're tracking in the right direction is really important. Great. Angel, who is your support officer, said that you are extremely outcome focused and goal orientated. And as you said, you've got a simple target of a module a day. You space that out over the 7 days of the week and rarely miss it. Whereas some students, because the study can be flexible, focus on grouping their studies into 2 or 3 days of the week. It really is case by case and what works for you. And it sounds like you've figured out what works for you and you've stuck to it. Great stuff. So you came into it. I'm interested because you said that you were always fascinated about IT or fascinated about tech, and you can look at building your computers, but zero technical skills and zero IT certifications. Were you nervous about having to start that learning process again and learn new skills?
Not at all. No, I always think of life as continuous learning. You always you can learn new things every day. I'm the type of person as well. I can still learn from my 7-year-old son, even though he's just 7. I don't have that fixed mindset wherein, okay, that's all I learned to learn. I don't need to learn anything else. No, I have that growth mindset wherein I can learn something new every single day. And I always want to take a challenge. Like I'm not the type of person who wants to back out of the challenge, even though like it looks daunting, especially from the exams I took. It was pretty tough, to be honest with you. But I went through it. Like there's no other choice. Using my motivation, the outcome I want to achieve, it's not a choice for me to back down from that challenge. So no, not at all. Like I really want to learn. I really want to get into it. And it's been my interest ever since.
Man, you do so well in cyber. Like that's the mindset you have to have. You have to enjoy learning new skills, right? Cybersecurity is not an industry where you can just get into and then go, okay, I'm done now. Unless you want to stay in the one entry-level role, then potentially, but still probably not there. You've got to always learn new skills, upskill yourself. I speak to people who've been in the industry for 20, 30 years and they're still upskilling just because they love it. And it's a really fast-changing industry, mate. Great. And so I want to keep on to your studies before we transition to talking about your career path and some of your goals there, because we've mentioned that word a few times. What did you enjoy most about your studies going into this fresh? Was it the lectures, the labs, the mentors, or the support?
Oh, everything, to be honest, everything. Like the lectures were, easy enough for even an entry-level beginner who has very little background in IT, or let's say have some idea regarding to IT, to get a grasp on the topics of hand and concepts. This is not going to be that difficult for someone with a genuine interest. That's a key word there. If you're really interested and you can get that grasp of it, sure, it can take some time, but it is what it is. That's how you study.
Like any skill, right?
Yeah, for sure. So the labs are amazing. I could do virtual labs through virtual machines, which is really, really good. You can, that's like practically applying the skills that I've learned from the lectures. Yep. I even tried on my own computer, and so far I haven't, destroyed my computer from that. But yeah, pretty good results so far.
Awesome. That's great. So you've enjoyed learning the lectures, learning the theoretical component, and then actually getting your hands dirty and implementing it on a live lab. That's great, mate. Because that's exactly how we structured it, and that's why I think our students go into the industry without any experience in the field, but they don't feel completely out of their depth because they have done it before in a practice lab. All right, now onto your career aspirations, right? You come from a sales and consulting background. Now, there is a specific pathway we talk about all the time, 2 pathways typically into an entry-level cybersecurity job. You've got the technical pathway, which is suited more towards people that like doing the day-to-day work at the desk, problem solving, doing the technical cybersecurity work itself in a SOC team. And then you've got the consulting pathway, which is getting out of the desk in front of clients, building relationships, governance, risk and compliance, consulting and advising their clients on where they're vulnerable and what they need to do next. I've got a feeling, but which one do you feel that you are more suited to?
I would say the consulting side, because considering my sales background at the same time, so I would probably lean towards the consulting side, although I do like the tech side as well. But the thing about me is I love engaging with people. I like to ask the right questions. I like to, see what makes them tick. What can I do to help them? So from my sales side, I can, my experience from that, I can establish that relationship, that rapport with people. There's a lot of things, like, for example, it's quite different for a tech-savvy person. Sure, they can be good at their job. They're very tech-savvy. They can, hack things to networks, that sort of thing. But how can they translate that language to the client or the end consumer, to translate to speaking their language instead? So that's where I'm interested, what I come into play in speaking their language, so they can understand what I can do for them.
Oh, man, yeah. That's the GRC, the consulting pathway for you. Do you know too much about that career progression? Because I know career progression is a big one for you, and it's a big positive to get into the cyber industry. About what that looks like. Have you given that much thought?
Yeah, I've had to read about it. Not too much into it, but yeah, there's a lot of things. Like consultancy it's a massive, it's a massive tree of, career paths where you can go. So I didn't read that too much into it, but it's one I'm really interested in. Because I just love engaging with people.
Yeah, it suits you down to a T. So the entry-level GRC role, governance, risk and compliance consultant, that's a hand in glove fit for you, I think. And so we're going to your applications around that. And I think you're going to be, amazing, mate. And that's one of, I guess, the key takeaways for anyone listening, whether you're a cyber revolution student or not, you're just starting out in this industry. Go into your job applications, go into your interviews, knowing your transferable skills. We're talking here, Floyd saying, I've got a background in sales. Yes, I could do the technical side, or I'm interested in that. But my previous experience, I'm going to lead on that, which strengthens your application and you can go into an employer and go, hey, look at my track record. I'm results focused. I've hit my KPIs. I've done this in the past in regards to consulting to organizations. And I've also now got the technical skills and the knowledge through these certifications. And you can see the certainty when Floyd says that. It's really, really important going into an application that you know which pathway you're suited towards. That's one tip. I want to end on a couple of more tips, or maybe 3 more tips from yourself, Floyd, that you've got for somebody listening who's just starting out in this industry or wanting to get into cybersecurity. What would be your top 3 tips?
All right. So my first tip, and I think this will be the number 1 for me, you have to be genuinely interested and really, really really interested in getting into this career or industry, like if you're really interested to any tech related, topics or concepts like cybersecurity, IT roles, anything like that, then yes, you're on your way, because it's not really enough to say, oh, I'll just get into cybersecurity because it's the trend now, or I'll get into this cybersecurity because it's going to give me a lot of money. If that's your way of thinking, you're going to get burned out at the end of the day, because you have to really make sure and invest your time and do the work. Because with you guys, Cyber Revolution, I would think that you guys are the vehicle and I'm the one, using the vehicle to get myself there. That makes sense.
Yep.
So, and second one would be is focus on what you're trying to achieve, focus on your goals. So goal setting is really, really important, because if you don't have a goal, you're going to be wandering around aimless. So once you have that goal setting, especially if you want to get into this industry, set your goals right, and you can figure out how to get there. Last one is consistency. Show up, do the work, it's not enough, just to get into with Cyber Revolution, and do it half baked. You don't want to do that. Consistency is really key, especially if you want to achieve a career path upgrade and get your goals in. Yeah.
Mate, that's awesome. That's probably the one that stands out for me. Consistency is key. And you've seen that with your studies. We've seen your progress. And with all of our, the majority of our students, which is why we have the student support officers to make sure they're consistent. But, it is, the responsibility is only half on the support officer and also half on the student to show up consistently, do the work consistently. And I guess it ties in well with what your first tip was. You've got to be interested in it. You're not going to be consistent with your studies, or you're not going to be consistent in your career if you don't enjoy what you're doing. You're not genuinely interested in it. So there are a few really good tips, mate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking your time out, mate. You're an absolute pleasure to work with as an educator. I know our student support officers love you, and you've got an amazing career ahead of you. And so thanks for taking the time out of your day to share your journey.
Awesome, man. And thank you for inviting me to the podcast as well. Pleasure.
No worries. All right, guys, if you did enjoy this episode, please like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to know a little bit more about the job placement program that Floyd is currently in, all you need to do is head to cyberrevolution.com.au, leave your details there, and someone from the team will be in touch. Thanks for listening. So if you've been sitting on the fence for a while, umming or ahhing, this could be the opportunity, the push you need to make the change you need to make. I'll be getting a booking link placed into the description of this episode. Book yourself in for a chat with one of the team members, and potentially you could be starting your journey in a new career in cybersecurity. Thanks for listening, everyone.